Welcome to episode 190, digitally operated one-room schoolhouses for underprivileged out-of-school children. And today on our show, we have my friend Jon Mason over in Darwin, Australia. And we have Faisal Bin Badar, Abha Gupta, who's at Harvard for a sabbatical visit. She's normally at Old Dominion, and Alya Iqbal. The four of them are going to talk about their project they've been working on, the digitally operated one-room schoolhouses, and just give you a little more sense of the people involved. Jon Mason is Associate Professor of Education within the Faculty of Arts and Society at Charles Darwin University in Australia, where he's been for 12 years. Before that, he did the government sector and in education sectors. He'll talk more about his roles there. Abha Gupta is, as I said, an educator, researcher, author specializing in reading, literacy, and language education at Old Dominion University in Norfolk, Virginia. Presently, she's on sabbatical working on books, two forthcoming books on diversity, equity, inclusion, and teaching strategies for ESL educators and more, empowering women in language areas. Faisal Bin Badar is the brains behind the whole project. And he'll talk about his brains and the project. He's revolutionizing education for underprivileged children worldwide. He's been involved in this area for 30 years in the education sector, systems engineering, business, project management, entrepreneurship. But he's doing much more than just thinking about education, thinking about changing communities. And he'll talk about his commitment to transforming communities and to an ethical leadership. Alya Iqbal is the head of operations in Pakistan, the Pakistan team, where she's passionately overseeing the operations there for quality education to underprivileged out-of-school children. She has a background in cost accounting and management accounting, like my accounting background, and she's probably wanting to forget that like I do. So we'll stop there and go back to Faisal and let him reintroduce himself and the project, and then go around to the other three of you before we ask questions. So Faisal, take it over.
Hello, everyone. My name is Faisal Bin Badar, and I am the founder of Advantage Digital Learning System. Advantage Digital Learning System is a digitally operated one-room schoolhouse network where we educate underprivileged out-of-school children, and we provide them international quality, inclusive education right at their doorstep. When I say international quality education, to the underprivileged out of school children, this means this is the quality of education that my children here in Australia are getting. So we are trying to match that level of education, and we are trying to bring the best of the world in education to those who were never been to education, those who, because of their deprivations and their non-availability of free and quality education, they were never been to school. So that's what we are doing. What we do is that we establish one-room schoolhouses, digital one-room schoolhouses in villages, remote areas, urban slums, and then we connect through the digital technology, and we provide them the education. I will explain to you the whole model in this podcast, and you will see how revolutionary it is and how it is a very low cost and high impact model of providing good quality education to these children. So I will explain the EDLS model afterwards, after the introduction of my team. So let me, as Kurt has already introduced, so I have with me Dr. Jon Mason, who is my PhD supervisor as well, Dr. Abha Gupta, who is the head of international advisory team of EDLS, and Alya Iqbal, who is the head of operations of EDLS. So you can see how global the team is. We are all at every corner of the world and in this podcast. So it's a global project. It's not a regional project. It's a global project. I'll explain to you afterwards. But before that, I would like my team members to go one by one and introduce themselves and share their thoughts about how they are in EDLS and how they want to see it going across the world.
Maybe
Over to
Faisal,
you,
when it comes back to you, Faisal, maybe you can have a picture or two to show us queued up, and you can share
Sure.
that. So let's go on to Jon.
Yeah, good morning and good evening, Kurt and everybody else online. It's great to see you all. I've participated in one of these silver lining conversations previously, and previously it was midnight in Darwin at that time, as I recall. But that was also a great interaction. I really enjoyed it. So it's nice to be here again. So with regards to today's session, the first thing I would like to say is I had the good fortune of being contacted by Faisal about 6 years ago. I'm a little bit hazy on the actual date, Faisal, but it's about 5 or 6 years ago. In relation to the possibility about supervising him for a PhD. And as it happens, yesterday I was just reviewing Faisal's thesis that's ready for submission. He's got a little bit more work to do, just a little bit of tweaking. We've got to get right before it goes to the examiners. But that's where we are. We've been through this journey, and when I say it was my good fortune, it really has been my good fortune. I wish all my PhD students were like Faisal. I wish they were all as diligent and as motivated to do something that matters, that has an impact in the world. And so a few words about me. I guess I'm an academic here, hanging on to my career as best I can. The closing years, I'm hoping to get a little bit more out of it. Here at Charles Darwin University in the top end of Australia. I really enjoy being an academic in education, at the nexus of education and all things digital. And of course, as you know, there's a lot going on in our space. So that's me. Over to someone else, perhaps Abha.
Yes, thank you, John, and thank you, everyone. It's so good to see everyone. Hello, and as it was introduced, so I'm here in Harvard, and I'm enjoying every minute of it during my sabbatical. How I met Faisal is very interesting. We were at an education conference in Spain, Valencia. And we met at one of the lunches there, and he started talking about this project, and it was just so fascinating, and he was very passionate about it. And the best part was that he could show me what's going on in these remote schools right at his fingertips. It was all on his phone. And he's like, I can show you like what the students are learning now, what is their attendance like, who is absent, who is not. So all the data is like right there in real time. And what got me really hooked onto this is when he showed me the video of the students learning and interacting, and it was, boys and girls and, doing these science projects. But the hope that I saw in the eyes of those children, that's what somehow resonated with my heart. And I was hooked onto it. And then, of course, I met other educators at that conference, and I shared about this project, and they were interested in the project and learning more about it. So that is how then we thought, then Faisal and I, we talked and we said, how can we take it to the next level? So we thought, how about putting together an international advisory board and get all this expertise from various educators who were there. So that's how it all started. But I'm so glad that I'm part of it. And that's my introduction. So thank you. And over to you, Alia.
Salam to all of you. I'm Alya Iqbal from Pakistan, Karachi. As you all know, and as Kurt said that I am a cost and management accountant by profession. But after I got married, I didn't get chance to work in any organization. So I switched my profession, and I came into educational sector. Like I provide tuitions to Cambridge students. Then back in 2020, July 2020, I was searching for some online work, and not only work, but I just want to give a meaning to my life. So I got a chance to talked to Sir Faisal, and from there, EDLS was not was only in papers at that time, and we opened our first campus in 2021. So I am with Sir Faisal at that from that time, and we had a very good journey. So I'll share more. This is my introduction for EDLS.
Thank you very much,
Yeah.
all of you. We'll go back to Faisal. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, at the end, I will introduce myself a bit. So, as Kurt has already discussed about me, I'm a professional with diverse faculties and professions. I have worked in the engineering sector. I have worked in the auditing sector. I have worked in the business development and consultancy sector, and in education. So through my qualifications and my experiences, I have a wholesome approach to anything. So I think my design thinking and my system engineering approach into the education led to this project, because it's I'm not a traditional educationist, but I love education since my childhood. So, and I love new learning. I love new learning, new exploration, new implementation. That's what this project is all about, because we have revolutionized, we have thought out of the box to come out of this product, that is EDLS, Advantage Digital Learning System. Around 6 to 7 years back, around 7 years back, I started thinking, I'm blessed with 5 kids, and all of my children have been provided. I was able to provide them the best education available in those geography and time. So I was blessed with that, and I'm always grateful to God for that. So I started thinking that when my kids are getting the best education, how I can pay back to the community, to the society, and pay gratitude to Allah the God. So that was the thought process from where this whole concept started. I started with collecting the free open source videos on YouTube with no clear idea what I will do with that. So for the next 3 years, I started collecting the videos for each and every topic, for the different topics from year 1 to year 12, English, maths, science. So, I was just collecting with my small team of 2 people, and archiving them according to the topics. And I had no idea what I'm doing. Then came the time that I moved to Australia, and then I started my PhD under Dr. Jon, and then we started exploring how we can educate these underprivileged out of school children. So it was my project of giving back to society. And in that sense, still I had no idea what is a one-room schoolhouse and how we can connect with them. We were exploring. So for the first year, then I visited some of the remote and rural areas of Pakistan. I saw the concept of one-room schoolhouses over there. I saw multi-level children sitting in one room, and a teacher is teaching them. That was a very fresh idea for me, a new idea. I never had this thing. And I asked those teachers in the organization, how you manage that? So they said that we have to train the teachers very specially so that they can manage all the multi-level students over there. From there, it clicked to my mind. And then I asked that organization, what are the problems, what are the challenges in that? They said that because we don't have a control over them, they are in the remote areas, villages, and urban slums, so we cannot be assured that how and what they are getting taught about. So from there I got the idea, and then I started connecting my system thinking, digital experience, and the education sector, and this concept of one-room schoolhouses, and integrating all those concepts. Then I created this unique concept of digitally connected, digitally operated one-room schoolhouses. What we do is that I'll explain to you a bit about how it works. But before that, let me tell you that during my research, there are 4 major impediments, major problems that we come across, that these are the reasons, these are the factors because of which these underprivileged children are deprived of education. Number 1, in remote rural areas, establishing a school needs a lot of money, millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars to establish one big building of schools and all the maintenance. The second problem is the teachers. In these remote areas, rural areas, we don't get good quality teachers, and the urban teachers do not want to move there to teach them. The third problem is that as the parents are also illiterate, so they don't see the problem. They don't see the importance of education, and it's very difficult to convince them to send their children to school instead of helping them in the fields, in the workplace. And the fourth thing is that if we provide all these things, then because of lack of effective monitoring, we don't know what is actually happening in those schools. It can be a school on paper, it can be teachers on paper, it can be students on paper, but practically is education happening? No mechanism for that. So these are the four problems that I identified as a more major problem, and accordingly I created a framework where we could effectively monitor from anywhere in the world what is happening in the remotest area of the world. And we don't need a teacher over there in the place. We don't need a big school. So that was the basis of my my model. Before that, I would like to tell you about the out of school children statistics. A lot of developing countries have them 244 million out of school children. That means 1 out of 5 children in the world are out of school. In some countries, unfortunately, it is much more ratio. Like Pakistan, my original country, there we have around 50% children not going to school. And when it comes to secondary age children, it is around 77% children of age 15 to 17, they're not going to school. It's a big number. 4 out of 5 children are not going to school. So I thought that this is my point of giving back to society. That's how it started. So what we do is that, now let me tell you about the solution side, how we created this solution. So the solution is basically we go to any community, and the first step we do is that we find a local partner. That is very important, because one of my research areas that I did with Dr. Jon was that if any solution, any edtech education technology solution is developed in the developed country, developed part of the world, and implemented in the developing part of the world, what happens is that that imported solution coming to that part is not accepted because of the gaps in the cultural understandings. So what happens is that the project starts with much hype and projection, but with the passage of time, either the project gets down or the project is become unaffordable for those cultural settings. So what we do is that the first step we do is that the local partner is the first thing that we do, because that is the person who will be communicating with the communities, parents, children, and they will be our front face. So through that we start our school. How the education is imparted mainly through our central team. The central team is the global team concept in EDLS. There we have it's a team of digitally connected people, like all 4 of us, and we are you can see that we are in different parts of the world, but we are part of central team, and we deliver the education through the best means. We have seasoned, we have experienced educators over there, researchers, IT people, logistic people, and all that is needed for the schooling. So all the burden of intellectual work of schooling is taken by the central team, and in that remote area, there's only one single teacher, whatever best available resource we have over there, and we train them as a facilitator. So that facilitator is provided with everything. The central team design the curriculum, make the lesson plans, create the learning contents, and everything is provided to that local facilitator to deliver only. And after delivery, whatever the children are doing, that comes back to central team. They check, recheck their work, they archive their work, and they assess them. They reassess them after the local teacher has done that. So that's how we are maintaining the quality. And every campus has the real-time camera feed, and that's how we make sure that things are happening as we want over there. So it's a brief explanation of what we do. I will explain further what do we teach, how do we induct children, and these are the things, because it's a very different concept, and to understand that you need to unlearn our traditional ways of education first. Only then we can understand how in the remotest area, in single room, how multiple level children can be taught the best education in the world. Thank you.
Great. We'll have Punya jump in here with a question.
Sure. Thank you, Faisal, for that introduction. That was very, very helpful. I have too many questions, so I'll stick to a simple one to start out with. Can you give us a sense of sort of the scale of how many locations and so on? And then I would also love to understand a little better from the other guests, so from Jon, Alia, and Abha, about what your different roles are within this setup, right? And so Faisal, maybe give us a sense of the scale, and then we can move on to the others.
Yeah, the strength of this model is that it's very easily scalable, adaptable, and it is sustainable. So these are the three major elements that we kept in mind since beginning, that it should be adaptable to the local culture and communities, it should be sustainable, and it should be scalable. So I can tell you that 3 years back, we started February 2021, we started with our first campus, and in just 3 years time, we have an exponential growth. Right now, we have 15 campuses, 14 in Pakistan and 1 in Tanzania. We are already communicating with the people around the world, like we are talking to communities in South Asia, in Pacific Islands, in Indonesia, in African countries, how we can start over there. So the foundations and processes of this system is designed in a way that it's a global project and it can be adapted anywhere in the world with some customizations according to their local needs. So that's the scale that we are delivering through 15 campuses right now.
Thank you. Maybe Alia could go to you, because I think you are on the ground, in Karachi, so to speak, to give us a sense of what your role is and how this actually plays out across these different sites.
Yes, my role is very multiple tasks I do at a time. I am head of operations, so I have to look for first of all, as Sir said, that we have to find out the local person, the administrator, which we can work with in that locality, which we find the area, the space, and we have 14 campuses in all over Pakistan, and out of them, 9 are in Karachi at different locations. So first of all, we find that person, which is called the administrator, and he helps us in finding the space, the area, and to get one room and either rented or the place, if the people want to give it without any money or whatever, then that administrator help us to find a resource in that area as a facilitator. So the panel of EDLS get the interview of that person and multiple persons. Then we select one of them, and for the final interview, Sir Faisal and our advisor, Manasa, in Australia, they finalize the contestant for that place, the facilitator, which turns as a bridge between the central team and that the place where the children are sitting. So then we start assessing the parents, because the administrator is the person who give the contact of the parents and the students which are present in that locality. So we have a criteria set for the selection of the students, and at the place where we are going to start this project. So all the parents gather there, and the team of EDLS have their interviews and assess them on their basis of need. And what we look for, what we give priority to is that the the students must they may be orphans and from the families of separation or divorced families. So we give the priority to those students. Then after assessing the parents and having 4 sessions with them in a month, we finalize the student list, and then all the logistics and operations are being done centrally, because we purchase all the equipment and all the things like IT equipment, and the furniture is being purchased locally, but from the local market, if there's any local market nearby, and all the books from all the publishers and the stationery and all the all other stuff, educational material. So we purchase it centrally and we send it to the locations. And then the facilitator is being trained for 45 days before starting our campus. We have an extensive training program, and in those 45 days, we train the facilitator to be able to stand there, and after the 60 days process, we are able to start our new campus. So a lot to do before that. And any other question, or if I missed anything, sir?
I would like to add a bit on that. So
Yes.
Alia Iqbal is the second person in this team. I was working alone on this EDLS project, and she was the one. She is there since beginning. She's handling most of the on field work over there, handling the whole team of 45 people over there. So she is the one who is managing the whole role. About this starting the new campus, so our priority is, number one, we give priority to the most marginalized children in those communities. Any community we enter to, orphans, widows children, single parent or broken family children, or financially handicapped children. So we don't give it to anyone. We have our criteria set for that. So yeah, that was the process of starting a new campus.
Thank you. So would love to hear briefly, Abha and Jon, what sort of your roles have been in this process. So maybe start with Abha, with you.
Sure. So, like I said earlier, so the purpose of the advisory board is to provide an objective review and development of the school project by leveraging the diverse backgrounds and expertise of its members. And the expertise of the members ranges from, backgrounds of linguistics, language education, information technology, multicultural education, sociology, early childhood education. So it's like a spectrum of different backgrounds. And again, we need those different kinds of backgrounds because, like Alia and Faisal just mentioned, there are different dimensions in this project. There's the technology aspect, there's the curriculum, content, and then there are instructional resources and materials, there is data collection and analysis. So so far, like, we are working on like research and development part of it. We recently, some of the board members, we got together collectively and we collaborated on a research proposal, which was about basically breaking the language barriers through technology. And the initial assessment, it was very interesting because they had done the initial assessment of students, and students are, like they said, it's multi-age group and they have different backgrounds. Some have been to schools for 2 years or 4 years, and some have never been to schools. So that initial assessment showed their language proficiency levels were at different levels. So then you have to provide differentiated instruction and tailor that instruction. So this was all part of that research proposal and working on disseminating that information. So that is one aspect of the role. And also, in the big scheme of things, the advisory board is here to support their goals and support the project. So that's the big scheme. And at the same time, offering insights on, trends and challenges in the field of education, what is the latest research happening in the field. So that is all part of it. We recently met in Singapore and we brainstormed and explored some opportunities there, how to take it to the next level. So that's the role that I'm playing.
I would like to add one practical implementation of what Abha is doing. So this advisory board, Abha and Professor Michel from Europe, they have taken up the lead in creating a communication English curriculum and delivery system for the children. So those children in the remotest areas of the world are getting communication English, how to talk, how to listen to English. So communication English through the best professors in the world. That is one of the implementation I can tell you about.
Jon, you still haven't jumped in here. I know you
I
sent me a
was just
comment
about to
on the
jump in.
side here. Yeah.
I wanted to respond to Punya's question about my role. So Punya, and my role has principally just been as Faisal's supervisor with his PhD, which, you know, I've been involved in the thinking much more than the operations of this project hitherto. That's about to change once Faisal completes his PhD. I'm going to be much more actively engaged here. But I do want to share a couple of thoughts here, and that is that for decades now, we've been hearing policy slogans around education for all and you know, equity mantras, etc. And we've witnessed high glam projects coming out of MIT and around the world, you know, around one laptop per child, etc. There's been these technology-driven solutions to this long-standing wicked problem, and so that was the initial problem space that Faisal hit me with, and we talked about this for quite a while. We talked about the role of open educational resources, etc., etc. And it wasn't until Faisal had the aha moment of witnessing the one-room schoolhouses that I also had an aha moment. Because in my work as an academic for 25 years now, I've also been engaged in international standardization, IT standardization in various communities. And the conversations there for some time have been that the one piece of common infrastructure right throughout history in education has been the one-room schoolhouse. And so all of a sudden, I have this moment of realizing that what Faisal's trying to onto here is he's connecting something that's traditional with something that's contemporary, and he's doing it in a way that looks like it has sustainability written all over it. So that's where I come from, Punya.
Thank you very much. That was what stood out to me when Kurt sort of introduced the episode to us and the blog post, was that connection with like a pretty enduring sort of an idea being brought with digital technology and so on. So anyway, I could go on, but Chris, I know, is waiting patiently.
So I want to build on the conversation that we're having about the one-room schoolhouse, because I'm not an educational historian, but certainly in the United States, for example, there was a time in an agricultural society when this was the educational experience for many, many children. And like any other educational model, it has some strengths and weaknesses, but two of the strengths that I remember reading about, and I believe there are people who studied this, are first, the peer learning that becomes possible. And Maria Montessori, for example, brought that into her model of education, where the same teacher handles 3 grade levels in a single classroom. It's not all 12, but it does offer the opportunity for continuity of the teacher and for peer learning among the students. Makes a lot of sense. And second, the interdisciplinarity, that when you have a teacher for every subject, you have a firewall for every subject. And in the one-room schoolhouse, the curriculum tends to be interdisciplinary because you're not walling things away from each other. You're actually looking for ways to make connections between them. So I'm wondering if your design incorporates these or other elements of being one room, multi-grade, one curriculum without, but taught by a single person, whether that's design takes advantage of those as potential strengths.
Yes. John, would you like to share your thoughts on the one-room schoolhouse history? And then I can explain the
Can I just say one
question.
thing, Chris? I'm
Yeah.
so glad that you mentioned this historical connection. And that is so true. This multi-age group that we have, we see some peer tutoring and peer learning and mentoring, and so this is really wonderful. That was another thing that was very exciting about this one-room school. But I thank you for that, making that connection with the Montessori and old systems. So, John.
Yeah, so I don't know whether I can add much more to that, Chris, to tell you the truth. But I think the points you raise are really important in terms of the moment that we're in in the world right now, where we're indeed sort of looking for a range of different ways in which we can approach education. All of a sudden, we're having to do a lot of rethinking, partly because of generative AI and the disruption that's taking place there. But I think this notion of connecting with traditional tested infrastructure that's deeply embedded within community is a great insight here that's worth building on. Is the main thing that I'm seeing here in this whole design.
Yeah. And adding to that, what John has said, that this strength of obviously every system has strengths and weaknesses. So there are goods and bads in the one-room schoolhouse concept that we had for centuries. It's a centuries-tested model, and so we try to pick up the strengths, like you have said about the peer learning. So peer learning is one of the elements that we extensively use. We grade the children and the senior level children, senior grade children, regularly teach whatever the lower level children in the same classroom has. So we extensively use this concept of peer learning, and it has its own merits, a lot of benefits to that, because a single teacher cannot manage all the time every child in the class. So that's how we manage the multi-grade classroom. And when talking about this connection between the contemporary and historical way of teaching, this digital one-room schoolhouse, it's not a perfect system. It has its flaws, but it is something that is out of the box, and that provides us a way of delivering a low cost and very high quality, very high impact teaching to those children in the most marginalized communities. So that's how we are working on it.
So Chris, thanks for reminding me. I actually went to a one-room schoolhouse. So in China, so my 6 villages had one room, one teacher, taught about 60 kids, taught everything. And that's why I never had sports. I never had PE class. I never had art, never had music. Whatever my teacher knew, that was what she knew, And it's but now I learned that's the best mode of education, multi-age, cross, interdisciplinary. But the big problem, so this is really goes to Faisal. I think actually everybody can jump in, and Alya, it might be important. Really, two issues I don't know how you address. Number one is motivation. When you say you are top quality, kids don't really care. When you say you claim that I'm top quality, I'm world's best, they don't care. They want to say, okay, why am I going to be there, right? So how do you encourage, how do you get children to actually be there, because there are a lot more interesting things in wherever there are kind of schools. So that's one of the things. The second thing is, how do you help the adults manage? Because I don't know about Pakistan. Yeah, I don't know anything about that. So because there's another issue. It's that with ChatGPT and other AI tools, with YouTube, with all this Khan Academy, there's a lot of good video content. Why do you have to create more video content for these children? Don't you think if you give access to them, would they be better? So the first one is motivation. The second is what are your thoughts about other content, And in Pune, I remember many years ago, we were all developing content, in graduate school, writing new things. But now we seldom do that. So I think the first one, let's go to the student motivation.
Yes, Alia, you can, because you are the person doing that. You can answer this.
First of all, we have to create this motivation in our team also. And we basically do the sessions with the parents also. So their counseling is very important because it's a very different system. It's a very different system of delivering in a way, like what they know about education is reading and writing. They say that our children must know how to read and write. But what we are doing is very different from the traditional learning. We are doing those parts of traditional learning, but this online concept of teaching them with various resources and online teachers, like we have introduced them with the abacus, with the mental math, with the logical reasoning, and with the project-based learning and query-based learning. So at this level, the motivation is created from the family, because if the parents know that this is something, yes, this will create an impact on them, only then they can send the students to us. We don't have that traditional examination system also. So at first we had a challenge of this, that they always ask us when the papers will happen and when they get their report cards and then they shift to another class. So we always used to say them that it's, and I will share cases from our different campuses, like, excuse me, as I said that we started in 2021. So our first campus was in Orangi town in Karachi. It was our pilot project. And at that time, we had very few admissions. But at this time, the similar campus having a very vast list of waiting students over there, because now they are understanding the concept of our study. So our students are very happy because they don't have that pressure of coming to school and giving the papers and all. We take assessments, but that pressure of examination is not with them. Secondly, our student in Campus 1, she joined us in 2022. And she was not going to school first, but in the very small era of 2.5 years, she has done 6 years of education. Like she started from the Montessori level, and now she is doing 4th grade education. So in this 2.5 years, we are there, and now all the children which are learning over there, they are going on their own pace. So they get interested, because if they finish a book, they get another book within 2 months or 3 months on their own pace. So now this word of mouth is spreading, and the motivation is getting. So we are having a waiting list on all of our campuses. So the other thing that the passion is in our work, the passion is very much needed. And as you see that I'm here at the time at 4 a.m. in Pakistan. So this is my passion which is bringing me over here. And we are creating this passion in our team. And when we started our work, we were only 3 members which started this work. And now we have a team of 45 members which are working together with the same passion for EDLS, that they want to do something for these out of school children. And another thing which I want to share is that sparkle in the eyes of our children and the smile on their faces, that when we meet them, when we have the online classes with them, because I am a teacher over there also, because I teach the philosophy of Allama Iqbal, our national poet. So we are introducing the poetry to them also. So when we engage with them and when we see the smile on their faces, we think that it's the thing which keep us on moving for this cause.
So Young has a second
Thank
question,
you.
I think, right? Or someone else want to answer
Yeah.
the motivation side too? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I will just try to add the things, and I think this is the right time to share with you how we teach them, what we teach them, the curriculum, and our pedagogies. So before that, Young, you have asked very important questions. Number one, way back in one-room schoolhouses, we could not teach other than the local wisdom of that particular person who is teaching them. Thanks to digital technology today we are teaching them the best ways of things, like we are teaching them STEM education, project-based learning, inquiry-based learning, logical reasoning, abacus, mathematics, communication English, and a lot of arts and craft projects, community service. So a lot of things from the whole world is coming to them. So that's the blessing of digital technology and usage of that for those children. Number two, for the motivation, you have asked about the motivation of children. Numbers don't lie. We have 85% retention rate of children. So, and we have more than 60% girls to boy ratio. That means girls are more, boys are less. So that these are the unique things in those settings. So how we do that, how we attain that. We don't work on children directly as the first person and the only stakeholder. We work first on the communities, on the parents, a lot of sessions with the parents before even enrolling a child, so that the parent is providing the same environment at home that we are providing it. If we say cleanliness is very much important to the child in the classroom, we teach the parent also maintain that level, so that a child is not confused. Then we work a lot on our teachers, the local facilitators and central team, to motivate them, because we believe that they are the channel to motivate children. So a lot of trainings, a lot of motivation sessions with our whole team is happening. So it's not a single person, or we don't directly on the motivation of children. We work on the whole ecosystem so that a child becomes motivated from everywhere. That's how we do that. So that's about the motivation. What was the second question, Young, so that I can answer?
Yes, he asked the second question yet, I think.
No, the second question was that there's a lot of resources, of
Yes.
all sorts of learnings. And why do you create this instead of using local people to find the resources? So that's the second question.
Okay, yeah, maybe I didn't mention it correctly. We don't create resources at all. We use the free open source from all the Khan Academies and YouTubes and everywhere. We use them, utilize.
Okay, then that's good. Then they don't need to.
Yeah.
I thought I heard you saying you teach them directly online. I thought that was so.
Yes.
My mistake.
But the resource creation, we don't do that. I tell you how we transfer the technology from the best resource of the world. Me, my children in Australia, along with some other children in Australia, we have created a brainstorming team of kids from university till year 5, year 2, 4. So what we do is that we give them that topic. I want my EDLS children to teach and get taught about this topic in this class. They brainstorm, they sit together, the children in Australia, they sit together and they think how we were taught about that. Then they create the projects, then they create the assessment, then they create the worksheets, and that's how the transfer of technology happens from the best education systems to the most marginalized communities. That's what we do. Okay. If you allow me, I can show you a 1-minute video so that you can see how our children over there looks like and what they do.
But when you do that, hit optimize sound and optimize video. Otherwise, we won't hear anything. So at the bottom of the screen, it says,
allow me to share screen.
You
Am I allowed to share the screen?
You should be able to. Yep. And I have a follow-up
Okay.
question after the video.
Sure. Just give me 1 minute so that here is the screen optimized video clip and share sound. Yeah, I
Yep,
have done
there you
that.
go.
All right. So what I can do is that. So that's a snapshot of how we teach them and what they get in the name of education over there. Just let me explain that we have three categories, three components of pedagogy, not the pedagogy, sorry, the curriculum. One is a traditional education, as I said, English, Urdu, and in Urdu, the local language, and mathematics. These are the three subjects we teach through the traditional way. That means books, workbooks, and all the homework and classwork method. Even in that one, it's not teacher-led classroom; it's a student-led classroom. That means that every student move at their own pace. Every student has a projection sheet. So two students starting at the same time after 6 months. One student may have completed 1 year of curricular syllabus, and the other student maybe is slow, is at some three months or 4 months benchmark. So they move at their own pace and their own interest. Then after the traditional education, there is 21st century learning education. They don't read through the theories of science and social studies and community work and sustainability. They do the projects. There is a concept of student day for the inquiry-based learning. The student day once a month has every student has a chance to ask questions, to explore the world the way they want to. We play games and everything. That's how we do the inquiry-based learning, and a lot of 21st century learning over there. And third component is about their ethics and morals. So we build up their ethics and morals. So they're not just good professionals, good educationists, good professional, but they should be ethically sound and ethically balanced individuals as well, responsible citizens. That's how we do that. Yes.
So I have a question, unless someone else has a comment on anything that Young has asked that you want to mention. You know, this is up my alley in terms of all the use of open educational resources. I wrote the book, The World is Open, based on, changes in education that are coming. OER, SDL, self-directed learning, all this is prominent today. I've been doing research on self-directed learning for a decade or two, in particular the last 5 years, come up with guidelines and checklists and what. But what I want to know from you is, what can people like me do who are researchers in self-directed learning to help people like you implement programs that you have in a successful, effective, ongoing way, sustainable way? So what is missing in the field of self-directed learning that you could benefit from, that I could be doing research on and saying, here's what we found, or these are some, or summarizing the research that's out there. What would you like to know so that you can, and I'm assuming a lot of this curriculum relies on SDL tremendously. And how do you train your teachers for that? How do you train your students for that? I mean, how do you prep them and get the readiness for a curriculum that's really puts the onus on them instead of on teachers delivering front and center, right? And this is something that John's particularly interested, I know, because we've been chatting about that. So, what's your perspective on how we can, globalize this effort by better understanding of self-directed learning and the derivatives of, the principles of, and so on? Anyone can jump in.
Yeah, I can start, and then I would request Abha and Jon to add on that. So we adapt a pragmatic approach. what works and what don't work. So we try something for a pilot pilot project, pilot testing, and then we see the results, outcomes of that, and then if it works, then we continue. If it doesn't work, then we review that and then twist it according to the needs. So self-directed learning is a very important thing for us because as we said that a lot of things that we are bringing from the whole world, we don't know how it can be culturally acceptable. I'll give you one example. We started some animation videos for the children in English just for a tester, that whether these children will understand that a connection between the visuals and the text, will they make it? So initially, most of them could not understand. We started asking them, what did you see in that animation? Just explain. So they were doing the reflection on those animations. But with the passage of time, we understood, we saw that they made the connection, although they were not good in English. They couldn't speak a single word of English, but they could make the connection after some time series of videos that this visual means this thing. So they started explaining something, and now they are giving presentations in English. So that's a phenomenal growth that we saw in the self-directed learning method. Abha and John, if you can add something on that.
Yeah, well, I could jump in there and say quite a bit. I've just got to be careful I don't say too much. Self-directed learning, Kurt. Yeah, I've been very interested in this for a long time too. What can we do? My experience at the moment is that the overwhelming challenge for us all is all around digital technology and paradigm shift, and so I think if there's something that we're going to do that's sustainable, I think we need better insight into how we can orient and connect our students with a deeper appreciation of the past, and its connection with now and its connection with emerging futures. And so if there's something that's overwhelming at the moment, I think it is technology. It not only is it a disruptor and an enabler, it's much more than that, and it is becoming overwhelming for many. We're hearing all kinds of commentary on both sides about this, and for a long time we've also heard that technology is just a tool. All we need is the agency to work with it. But I think we're in a different situation now, and so look. What do we do with self-directed learning? How do we scaffold this? How do we think about technology in a better way? How do we think about technology and its role as it's emergent? This is what's important.
Yeah, we'll have to end with it here. I know Abha may have a quick comment. We haven't heard from you in a while.
Yeah, I think we are seeking always support and help from others who have that expertise. There are open education resources, there is learning management systems, there is open online courses that we know, and it provides for a lot of flexibility. I think Faisal could get in touch with you and also seek some resources.
That's what I was thinking.
Yes.
I was thinking, Faisal, my team can contact you and we'll do some research together. I want to thank you all for we do need to talk. I want to thank you all for coming in at 4 a.m. in Pakistan. Here it's 7 at night on the East Coast of most of us, but it's different times of the day and different time zones. So I appreciate everyone being flexible to be able to get this show together, and we learned a lot. This is so powerful. We maybe need to bring you back in a year or two and get an update from what you've all done, because there's a lot we didn't get a chance to discuss today. But again, applause to all of you. And applause to Faisal on his PhD dissertation, almost done. That's a big thing, right? So thank you again. And Punya is going to introduce the next session.
Thank you, Kurt. And again, let me just second what Kurt said. Thank you, all of you, so much for joining us today. John, good to have you back again. I think last time was July of 21. And Faisal and Alia and Abha, thank you for the work that you do. That's one of the pleasures of doing Silver Lining for Learning, is getting to meet committed people like yourself, and just giving a space for you to, share with the world what it is that you do, and also a chance for us to learn and grow along the way. And I want to second something that Kurt said. Please feel free to reach out if there's anything that we can do to help. I would be absolutely delighted to be able to do that. With that, our next episode is a hosts reflect. I was just checking, and we haven't done that since the first week of March. So we've had a variety of episodes. We had one around designing architectural spaces. We had a couple on the educational technology plan. Of course, this conversation here today. Then we had one which I missed, which was around educational futures of universities with a special issue. So a lot of things for us to catch up on and look forward to the summer. So that will be at our usual time, which is noon Eastern on the 4th of May.